What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the farm. If you've been with us very long, you've seen some of the videos in the past that we've made about our tractor shed back over here behind me. Also, you've seen probably the first video we did on this channel was when I added the lean-to on the side of it and then built the chicken coop onto the side of that. When we built our house out here on the farm 7 years ago or so, we needed somewhere to store our tractor. We had one tractor, we didn't have any chickens, we didn't have a place to put firewood, and I had a bush hog, and that was literally all I had was a tractor and a bush hog, and I needed somewhere to store it. Well, we had a neighbor that had that carport there behind us that they were tearing down, and so we went over, paid a couple $100 for it, and they let us have it. So we took it down, moved it up here, and put it up. Over the past 7 years, as things have grown here, and I have acquired another tractor and other implements for the tractor, and then we built the chicken coop and the wood shed and everything on the side there, we rapidly began to run out of room. I also started milling some lumber, and we were trying to stack that lumber in the tractor shed as well. Just for everyone's information, my wife called it a barn, but she was a city girl. She wasn't really very familiar with a barn, although we have other barns on the farm. I was like, babe, that is not a barn, that is a tractor shed. You can see back there behind me, there's inside the tractor shed. You know, there's lumber stacked in there. I've got sawhorses in there. We've got buckets and buckets of compost in there. I've got firewood. We've got traps. We've got all kinds of stuff in there. And then the travel trailer is sitting out here outside exposed. Well, we talked about it and started planning for this year and decided it was time to have a proper barn built. So last week, I'll say before last week, we worked for many months trying to come up with a layout that worked for us, size, what we wanted it to have, what we wanted it to look like, and we settled on a company here. Well, that's got out of focus all of a sudden. Come on. We settled on a company here that's located in Monterey, Tennessee, about 2 hours from us, called Troyer Post Buildings or Troyer Builders. I forget. Troyer Post, I think is what it's. Troyer Post Buildings, I think is what their technical name is. And they were great to work with. They humored me, went back and forth with multiple quotes, did multiple arrangements and layouts for the barn. Oh man, they were fantastic to work with. And I'll put some of their contact information down below if you're in the market for a new barn or a post building. Everything they do is like a pole barn style building, but they do barn-dominiums, they do carports, they do sheds, they do barns, they do workshops, they do commercial buildings with their pole frame. Anyway, they came out last week, and I stayed home last week from work. I didn't do any travel last week, and they came out and they spent 2 12-hour days putting the barn up. And here is our new barn. And you can see there behind me, there are the 2 tractors front to back, and they take up half of just a tiny side of the barn there, whereas before those 2 tractors, come on focus, those 2 tractors for the most part took up the entire tractor shed that we got over there. What we ended up with was a 30 by 60 main barn area. It's 14 feet tall to the lowest, to the edge, to the sides right there. So 14 feet tall to there, and it's 20 feet tall to the apex of the roof up there, to the top of the roof. And what happened here is because of how we have it laid out, and there's a slight slope, there's about a foot slope from front to back. I've actually more like 21 feet at the front of the barn here, although there is some siding and stuff there that kind of, you can't really use that, but I don't have anything that tall. Come on, focus. I don't really have anything that tall to put there, but because it's so tall, what we did do is, and I'm not going to go in there because it's so dark right now with the way the lighting is in here. In the very back, I've got double doors back there in the center. On either side of those double doors, I have framed up, I had them add 2 more 6x6 posts going from floor all the way to the roof, and they're tied into the roof for additional support of the roof on the back of the barn. Those are 2 10 by 12 elevated loft rooms, and what I'm going to do there is Those rooms are going to be 8 feet tall on the wall side, the outside wall edge. And then on the other side, they're going to be about 14 feet tall, if I take it all the way to the top of the building. So I'm going to have plenty of headspace in there to put stuff up. We're going to put shelves up in there. It's going to be totally closed off, sealed up with steel exterior doors where I can lock them up with deadbolts and everything. Have stairs coming down and landings, and then up in between, you can't see it because it's so dark, but up in between those two rooms, those 6x6 posts go all the way up to the ceiling. I'm going to put in two 2x12 headers. I'm going to nail them together so it'll end up being basically a 4x12, and I'm going to rig a chain fall off of that. So I'll be able to use that chain fall to, when I need to sharpen my bush hog, for example, I can rig that chain fall off that 2x12 header or 4x12 header. I can raise it up, I can block it, and then I can get underneath it, you know, because it'll be blocked in place. Won't have to worry about it falling or anything at that point. And then I can take blades off, I can work on things, I can do all that. I can use it to hoist up when we harvest a deer. I can hoist the deer up, or if we shoot that blasted wild hog that's running around over here, that thing's a beast. I can hoist it up. I can do all my butchering work right there. And it's out of the weather. It's fantastic. I mean, it's really good. But in addition to that, that's the 30 by 60 mainframe part of the barn. On the side of this here, we had a 10 by 60 lean-to built. And because of the pitch and the slope of the roof and everything, when you get over here to the outer edge of the lean-to, this is 12 feet tall over here on the edge. So I've got tons of space in here as well. I could actually, if I was really confident, I could probably try to back and park my camper in that lean-to. I'm not going to try that because it's really, it'd be just a few inches of space. So I'm not going to try that, obviously. But, you know, technically I could. It's actually big enough where I could fit my camper in the lean-to. But I've got all these different bays lined up down through here, and the plan is I'm just going to back all of my tractor implements into these bays, drop them off, and all this stuff that I've had sitting around the farm outside, other than the bush hog. So my disc is sitting in front of me. I've got a rock rake sitting over here behind me. I've got a ripper that I just bought. Some people call it a 9-way cultivator right there. And then I've got a carry-all basket kind of cart thing right there. All those things have just been sitting around the farm in different places, just being weathered and rusted, and I've got to come out and get things, moving parts and things. They seize up on them ever so often, so I've got to kind of keep them worked on all the time. But now I don't have to worry about that. I can store all the stuff underneath the lean-to right here. And there's room on the other side. I'll take you over there. Even though I did not have a lean-to built on the other side over here, there is enough room where I could build one if I want to. And I'll tell you a little bit more about this, the challenge we had when I get to it here. So there's enough room all the way down this side where I could add another lean-to. Now the elevation is a foot different than the other side, so I would only have, maximum I'd have 11 foot of clearance. But when I talked to the builder about it, what they might do is they would actually probably drop down off the side and come in, and then it would be a step down wall, step down lean-to here on the side where the roof, where the roof would drop down about 2 feet below the main barn roof line. And so I'd end up with like a 10-foot high lean-to there. And I could still drive through here. I could park things in there if I wanted to. That'd be room for a future expansion. The challenge we had was when we built our house, we had geothermal system installed. And we've got, I think it's a half a mile of HDPE piping coiled up that comes through the yard here where I'm standing in 2 great big horseshoe shapes. And I know where one of them is located. It's over there totally out of the way of everything. But then the other one runs right through, and it makes a U right in the center of the new barn. So when we were putting this in, the guys I had to guide them on where exactly to put the posts to make sure they weren't going to hit the geothermal system. And then because of that, we also couldn't do doors on the front here because you would have to drop poles down the front to attach the doors to. and those poles were going to drop down right smack on top of the geothermal lines. So that was a no-go from that case, because if I cut into the geothermal lines accidentally, or they hit the geothermal lines, we now have no air conditioning or heat in the house other than the fireplace in the wintertime. So the air conditioning obviously is the big thing as far as this time of year goes anyway. So that's kind of how that worked out. That was the biggest hurdle we had here putting this thing up, was locating those geothermal lines, working around those lines, making sure we didn't damage those in the process. But we are thrilled with this. The first day, the builders had just left, and my daughter brought a tent out and set the tent up in the back of the barn, and her and a friend came over, and they came out to spend the night in the barn the first night. She was so excited about getting the barn built, and getting the rooms put up in the back, and just something different, you know. It's really cool to see your kids take pleasure and have some joy in that kind of stuff. But I'll walk back here and show you the back real quick. Like I said, it's really dark on the inside right now. It's getting later in the day. We got a tropical depression just came through, so there's a lot of cloud cover and drizzly rain. But you see the double doors back here on the back, just double sliding doors. I can either open one or open them both, and there's plenty of room to get in and out. I actually even have room now where I can park my dad's Bobcat right here, also in the lean-to. There's room for his Bobcat here as well. So just fantastic. It's a great thing. It's working out really good. I can stage firewood in here, or I now have the old tractor shed that's available over there that I can put logs into to either prep to get milled, or to cut into firewood. Or what I'm going to be doing here the next couple days, hopefully, is I'm going to inoculate those logs with mushroom spores. I think that's what it's called. I don't remember, one or the other. I'm going to inoculate the logs, and I can do that now totally in the dry. I can do it here in the barn in the dry, or if I wanted to, I can do it over in the tractor shed in the dry. So just really opens up lots of opportunities, possibilities for us, and we are so excited and so happy. But once again, Troyer Post Buildings, if you are in Tennessee, they actually just started a job in North Carolina when they started working this one as well. So if you guys have a need for a post building, or a barn, or a barn-dominium, or any of that sort of stuff, I'll put their information down below. Give them a call, tell them I sent you. I don't get anything out of the deal. I like to represent and throw business in the direction of companies that I think do a good job and deserve it. And these guys were fantastic. The crew was fantastic. The head guy that I've been working with has been fantastic, extremely responsive. Logan, you know, he really was very patient with me in all the times that I changed the design of this thing over and over and over again, and he never once balked at it or complained or anything. He may have silently, but he never said it to me. So anyway, that's it for this video. I know it's kind of long-winded and rambling, but you know, this is a big deal for us. This was a big investment for us to build the barn, something we wanted to make sure we spent a lot of time thinking about, researching, making sure we built what was going to work for us and for our needs, and I think we got it. Oh, I forgot. I also just bought a turning plow, and it's sitting over here, that now I can store it over here in the dry too. So yeah, went from one tractor and one bush hog to 2 tractors and about 7 implements, and now I got the Bobcat here, and I needed somewhere to put all this sort of stuff instead of it just sitting out in the weather. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Garden season's coming to an end, but there's just other farm type stuff going on around here right now. I really appreciate you being here. If you haven't yet, I'd really appreciate if you go in and hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. If you want to be notified every time we release a new video, you can hit that bell. Have a wonderful day. God bless.